pinch pot monsters. That's what we're going to be making for our first project, second semester in Mrs. Maxwell's Ceramics 1 and 2. Cute. Okay, so supplies you're going to need today include your clay, water, slip, and I'll let you know what slip is in case you don't know yet. Some of you returning to class will know what slip is. Washcloth or rag, a needle tool if you have one at home, a regular wooden pencil, a fork, a spoon, and some newspaper or wax paper for your surface. Hey guys, Mrs. Maxwell here, and the first rule of working with clay is to have fun. Second rule is to make sure that you warm up your clay and get it ready to mold in your hands. We're going to be making a really awesome project today, and you'll see that I've taken a chunk of the clay off of the block that I've provided for you, and I'm just working it in my hands and making it a sphere. So we're going to make it a ball. And the point of this is to make sure that we are working out all of the air bubbles and the cracks and crevices out of the clay so that we don't have issues with the firing process or with the building process as well. If you notice that your clay starts to feel a little dry and crackly, go ahead and use some of that water. Just put some on your fingertips and then put it over that clay sphere like so. You don't want to oversaturate it because you don't want it to become muddy, so don't add too much water. Keep working that out in your hands. Good job, everybody. We're having fun. Once you're satisfied with your sphere, you're going to first start by making a pinch pot for this project. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your thumb and you're going to press it halfway into the clay like so. You don't want it all the way through. You don't want it to make a tunnel in the clay. You want it to make almost a half donut like that. Then what you're going to do is use the pinch method to make a pinch pot. And you're going to take your fingertips and your thumb and you're just going to pinch around the sides like this. You can rotate it in your hands like I am, or you can put it down on a table surface and pinch the pot outward like so. Oh, sorry. There we go. When you're working with clay, it's important that you have something on your table surface or your work surface that you've chosen to create on so that the clay doesn't stick to that surface. Unless you have a really nice canvas surface like I do, which not a lot of people have at home, you're gonna want something like newspaper or washcloth or rag or even some wax paper just to make sure that it doesn't completely stick to your table surface. So there's nothing worse than getting your project stuck and then you have to start all over again. It's just a mess. So make sure that you're putting something on your surface to work on. All right, guys, keep working that clay so that you form a pot or a little bowl. Make sure not to make your clay walls thicker than a ½ inch or thinner than ¼ inch. That will ensure that it dries properly and that it makes it through the kiln fire. If the walls are too thick or if there is an air bubble in the surface of the clay, when it is fired, it will explode during the firing process. It won't hurt the kiln. It might not hurt other pieces, but it will definitely destroy your piece. So you just want to be safe with that. To open up the bottom of this bowl, I'm going to bend my index finger and I'm going to use my knuckle to just push the clay around that bottom surface there to open it up and thin it out. Good job, you guys. Make sure that the bottom of your piece is not too thick. All right, I formed my pinch pot and I'm happy with its shape. I'm going to set it aside and I'm going to make some slip. What you're going to do to make some slip is grab a little bowl and some clay and some water and just mix it together. So slip is a combination of clay and water. It's like mud. But when you mix it together, it becomes like a paste. And we're gonna use this paste to put our little pieces on our little monsters. So we're making little pinch pot monsters today. So we're gonna need a lot of slip to add teeth or arms or tentacles, whatever you're going to add to your little monster, you need this paste to adhere it to the clay body so that those pieces stay together. All right, it's messy and it's fun. I'm gonna wash my hands and we'll get to the next step. Okay, so I'm going to turn this pinch pot that I've made onto its side, and this is gonna be the mouth of my monster. I'm gonna add eyes, horns, and teeth. All right, so I'm gonna section out some more clay, and just like before, I'm gonna warm it up so that I can make all those fun little attachments for my little clay monster. Work it into a sphere. I think this is going to be his eyes. So I'm making little spheres for his eyes. Trying to make them the same size. Again, if that clay starts to dry out, make sure that you're using your water to apply just a little bit to the surface. All right, once I'm satisfied with the size and shape of the eyes, I'm going to use my fork. Or if you have a needle tool at home, you can use a needle tool. With distance learning, it's hard to get everybody the proper tools. Also, if you have a thick needle at home, you can use that too. Anything sharp and pointy can work for this. And I'm going to teach you the scoring method. So that's basically making hatch marks in the clay so that we can attach clay bodies together. So not only do we need slip, but we also need to create a texture on both of the clay bodies we're going to attach so that they stick together and stay together while they dry and while they fire. So I'm creating that texture on both of those pieces. Don't be afraid to really make a lot of texture too, because you want the teeth of the clay that I have created. That's what I call clay that I've made really texturized. You want it to grab onto that other textured surface really well. So you'll see I'm taking some of that slip and I'm adding it to where I've added that scoring texture, using it as that glue and wiggling it on to attach that piece, like so. Good job, you guys. You're doing a fabulous job. Okay, so what I'm doing right now is I'm making some horns to attach to my cute little monster, but I do want to add some details, and what I'm doing is I'm taking just a regular wood pencil and I'm carving into the clay so that I can make these nice defined lines in the horns and give them some character. So you can use a regular wooden pencil to embellish your piece, carve into it, create designs, etc. Okay, so I'm gonna embellish the eyes on my monster by using the back of a pen. You can use the back of a pencil too, to just make some little pupils in his eyeballs. Don't press too hard, you don't wanna damage your piece. You just wanna add a little character to it. There you go, little eyeballs. Okay, so now I'm gonna attach the horns, and again, I'm gonna use the scoring and slip method. Everything that you attach needs to be done in this manner. So you're gonna take your needle tool or your fork, and you're going to decide where you wanna put the next addition to your piece. Create texture there. Texture also what you're gonna be attaching. And then add your slip. Create and repeat. Repeat and create. Same type of steps for working with clay to ensure that it stays together and makes it through the fire. To make sure that these clay pieces stay attached to my sculpture, I'm going to use a spoon to smooth out the horns that I attached right where they meet the base of the piece so that they stay on. I'll use some water to smooth out that texture I've created. And no worries, if you've squished your details out, you can always go back over them. It's really easy to manipulate the clay and work with it at this stage. Once it starts to dry, it's a lot harder to do so. So make sure that you're working with it while it is still plastic, as we call it, which means it's still moldable. It's very soft to the touch and easy to sculpt. If your clay piece starts to dry out, just wet a washcloth, put it over top, and then put a plastic bag over the surface as well, and that will lock in the moisture. Once you're finished, take your pencil and make sure that you put your name or your initial on the very bottom of your piece, so that way I know whose is whose when we are done with the firing process and I'm ready to grade it. So I'm just going to carve my initial in the bottom here, like so. All right, there you go. It's a pinch pot monster. I hope you guys have a blast creating these, and yeah, have fun. Email me if you need any advice or have any questions at cmaxwell@swimschools.org. Stay creative, guys. See you later.